froze. Oh, no, I didn't. Hey, welcome to Christian Men Unscripted. I'm your host, Alan Underwood, with my co-hosts, Seth Lazan and John Harney. I put you second this time, Seth.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Yeah. And it's been a couple weeks since our last recording. We record these like two in advance. So a lot of things have happened since the last time we recorded. And I guess we'll get into it. More current topics. A couple things. Did we talk? I don't know. Did we talk about the Ukrainian girl on the subway that got stabbed?
Iryna Zarutska or something like that. I can't remember.
I don't know if we did.
No,
we didn't. And then also, I mean, the biggest one was Charlie Kirk getting assassinated.
Two kids, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old kid were killed at a Catholic school.
At a Catholic.
Harper and Henry and Harper, I think were their names, but I'd have to Google it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But no, we did. We talked about that a little bit, but we didn't know the names. So, I mean, a lot of current events going on. And as far as Christianity is involved, you know, Charlie Kirk was a big time Jesus follower. He preached the gospel almost every campus he went to. The girl on the Iryna, right?
Yep, Iryna was her name.
I mean, I didn't even mean to watch the video of that. Like, I was scrolling through something, putting stuff on, and when you see it, the whole clip, it just breaks your heart, man. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. I didn't want to see that whole thing, but it's everywhere, and it breaks your heart.
Shocking, right? It's shocking.
Shocks the system.
Harper and Fletcher were the two little boys that were killed at the school. I don't want to miss.
I know we spoke about that with Jimmy Graham a little bit, and we just touched on it because it just happened.
Exactly, the girls hadn't been identified, or the kids hadn't been identified yet.
So, but I mean, the Charlie Kirk thing is interesting to me because it's very divisive as far as people on the right and left, which I don't feel like it should be. It's pretty cut and dry that you shouldn't murder, assassinate people. Same with the girl on the subway. It's Iryna, the girl who was stabbed. That the saddest part about that. Let's go to that one first, okay? Because I watched the video and it was she was getting off of work. She came from Ukraine for a better life in America. She loved America according to her parents. She wants to be buried here. She just gets off work from a pizza place, and this he's a black male. Okay, I'm going to get into that part of it as well. Stands up and stabs her in the neck.
Yeah.
And she holds her neck. She starts crying in her hands, and then she slumps over and dies alone. Nobody helps her.
Yeah.
He gets up, walks away, and I don't know how true this is. I don't know if he said this or not, but I got that white B. Okay, whatever. It's neither here nor there. He's mentally ill, right?
Yep.
The fact that he's
he's got to be, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. The fact that he's a black guy means zero. There's a mentally ill person. The fact that he said those statements should mean zero to anybody, because the one thing that should mean anything is that he was let out of jail after being arrested 14 times for major criminal activity.
Other massive violent crimes as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, that one was pretty sad to me. But they seem to make it a black and white thing. The media, the mainstream media, always wants to make it a black and white thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, you see a lot of that because that sells. Racism sells.
Yeah, especially in the media. And then the Charlie Kirk thing was also divisive, where they're like, well, he deserved to get, a lot of people say, oh, he deserved that because he's racism and sexism. And I'm like, I told you guys before we started, I follow Charlie Kirk as far as I've heard him on podcasts that I listen to. I've seen him on the RNC convention. I've seen his clips on YouTube, but I never followed him per se. Like, he was not somebody I followed all the time just because I didn't. Neither way did I dislike him or anything. Everything I heard him say, I loved.
Yeah.
It was perfect. He preached Jesus Christ everywhere he went. He stood up for human rights, not, civil rights. And that was one of the things. He's like, he didn't stand up for civil rights. He goes, and I go, oh, that's not good. So I looked into it. He goes, well, I don't, because I stand up for human rights. We're human beings. We're all human.
Yeah.
So some of the comments he made, and people can take a clip from Instagram or social media and they can cut little pieces out of what I just said about the guy who stabbed me, and make me look like a massive racist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they did. Anybody opinion?
So, well, here's what I'm going to share real quick. Yeah, you're right. Let me address something. As you guys know, and a lot of our audience knows, a lot don't, but, I worked homicide. I did homicide investigations. I've investigated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deaths and murders and suicides, to include exceedingly violent and exceedingly disgusting murders where people videoed each other like skinning human beings alive. Some of the worst. Like, I wish I didn't have those things in my head. You know what I mean? Things that are beyond conscious, shocking. Yeah. And so this is something that I have shared for a very long time, right? I've been retired over 5 years. It's been over 10 years since, when I started doing that type of work. And I've shared all the time because people are always like, well, how do you do that? How do you do that? I say, well, to be honest with you, a lot of guys struggle with it. About 33% of homicide sergeants are in this category of committing suicide, which is exactly the statistic that I was involved in. One of our dear friends committed suicide. Matt Sanford, awesome guy, post-retirement and stuff. Now, was it directly involving that job? I don't know, right? There was a lot of factors. And I've shared that I've been suicidally depressed because when you start to see what all of these people consistently do to each other and the picture of evil, it is conscious shocking. But for you, Alan, how you got to see the Ukrainian girl get stabbed, it's weird, right? Because we have phones, we have cameras everywhere. So more and more people are being exposed to this. And what do I mean in a positive way is this. People say, well, how do you watch that all the time? How do you see that all the time? Because people use their phones and videoed. I mean, I saw some disgusting things people did to other people, killing them. It's terrible to watch a person be brutally murdered or tortured to death. But the positive I was always able to share is this is an absolute apologetic argument for the existence of a real God because it's the existence of real evil. And so I've always considered myself blessed that I had a front row seat to the depravity of humanity, the fall of mankind in Genesis chapter 3, when human beings disobeyed God and sin entered the world because of Satan and evil and temptation. Human beings have this inherent evil within us. All of us do, by the way. We call that a sin nature. And it's, thank God, by his grace, most people don't act out in the craziest ways like this, right? But it sure does seem more prevalent, more invasive these days. And I think it's the social media. And I do believe there's a little bit of a conspiracy to like forcing people to act crazier and crazier, right? Affirming craziness. But really what people are now seeing, what you saw, Alan, is what I've been talking about for years anyways, which is, you guys, this is literally what sin looks like. This is what evil looks like. And it's happening all the time. You just don't see it all the time. You see a cop kill somebody and you freak out because violence looks ugly. But for every time a cop got violent or messed up, and they do, thousands of people were killed in the same week or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By other
absolutely.
evil people. There were evil people doing evil things. You just didn't see it all the time like you're now seeing what it looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, like with the guy who stabbed Iryna in the neck and being let go, released after several crimes. Now, did you guys ever see that in your line of work?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah. And it was always activist judges right here in Las Vegas. And I'm not going to name some of them, but there were very liberal activist judges that I am not kidding that I went before, even when I was working undercover narcotics, that as soon as we brought cases in, they would say things like, well, this is still just white guys going after a black guy trying to make money or whatever. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like half of my team, we're all black and white guys. Like we don't care about the color. This is just a felony crime. Like, what are you talking about? And so they would literally dismiss cases or require more than the probable cause you already had. And so, and by the way, within the law, within their judgment, they've got that type of leeway. On the one hand, thank God we have freedoms in this nation, right? The big thing is, thank God you are genuinely innocent until proven guilty. We have to accept that bad things, just like Charlie Kirk was talking about gun safety when he was shot and killed. We have to accept there are certain risks in living in such a free society, but we have to be blessed by those things. We just have to be more responsible. It's never going to be perfect, right? And so, yes, the short answer is yes. For sure, we saw that all the time.
Yeah. So after looking into the Charlie Kirk thing, I started following him more. I follow him now. And as Turning Point USA, I follow too, because I feel like they're making a statement on the way the world is being run. And I'm not the most political guy. We don't talk a lot of politics on here, but I feel like we need to now because of that, because of what I see on the media, because of what I see them saying in the news, because of what I hear them saying that Christians are doing, and the narrative that it's not even all the Democrats. I mean, you think about it, it's those very far leaning left, Ilhan Omar, who probably should be deported, the AOCs and when she speaks to me, she seems ignorant, and I don't care who likes it or doesn't. I think she's ignorant. And there's another one. Oh, Jasmin Crockett. When she comes on, I'm like, I don't care what your skin color is. Who voted you in? You sound like a moron.
I know, exactly. Right.
And that's who he was talking about when he said certain things that were
bring up an example because you brought that up.
And this is what I like I said, I didn't follow him, so I was seeing people post like he was a racist. This is what he said. He said that black women don't have the brain capacity to be in the jobs that they're stealing from white women. I'm like, that's a horrible thing to say. Did he really say that?
Yeah.
So I had to research it because I don't follow him.
Like what did Charlie Kirk say about this topic?
Basically what he's saying is that the women that I said, Jasmin Crockett, who was the other one? Joy Reid on MSNBC, who is the biggest racist I have ever seen, but nobody calls her out on that. She is a huge racist. I can't stand to hear her talk.
Yeah.
And then he said, I think he might have said Michelle Obama, but don't quote me on that one. Don't deserve to be in the positions they're in because they don't have the brain capacity to do those jobs or be in those positions that they're in. I don't know what position Michelle Obama's in other than being the
first lady is first lady is a pretty big position, but
that's not a position but he's talking about DEI hires who shouldn't be hired because of their race. And then he said something also about black pilot where he gets on a plane and he sees a black pilot and he goes, "Oh, I don't know. Is he going to be good?"
Yeah.
And if you just hear that in the context of like, that's what he's thinking, he goes, "That's horrible.
That sounds racist and terrible."
Racist.
Right.
But then he goes, "But because of the Federal Aviation, whoever does the hiring for pilots has a quota that they need to hire a certain amount of women, certain amount of black and Hispanic people." And so then you go, "Oh, was he a DEI hire and is he capable of doing this?"
Correct.
Maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
In other words,
but he goes, "I hate to have to think like that." This was the rest of his. But it's 100% true. Even black people should probably think that. Like, I'm getting on a plane with my family, whether we're white or black, is this guy capable of flying a plane?
Right, is the individual, whoever is in control, were they hired because of DEI or were they actually qualified to do the job? That's just an objective statement.
Yeah.
But it turns racist right away.
Yeah. And then the last thing was he was against civil rights. And I'm like, who's against civil rights? But he is against civil rights because he's for human rights. He looks at everybody the same. We're all human beings. We should all have the same opportunity. Whether you think that or not, in the United States, we might not all have the same. I'm a white guy. I grew up in a trailer park. I did not go to college. I had to join the military. So I never felt like there was white privilege. I just joined the military because that's all I could do.
I mean, think about this. Like for you're a white guy who, by the way, we've shared this before, but you're a white guy who.
That I am white.
Yeah. Hella. But here's the thing. But you couch surfed, right? You lived in motels. You were around a little bit of a criminal element, and you had varying stages of economic status to include as low as you could possibly get. Are you going to eat to middle class to normal? You mean like a lot of normal Americans, which we're all still pretty blessed because we know we're going to eat that day kind of thing. But the point is we all have struggles and issues. Mm-hmm. And then this guy is actually trying to stand up for righteousness, for truth. I want to share real quick, and then I'm going to just want to turn it back over to you guys and hear what you have to say. Charlie Kirk, for instance, I didn't know much about him or Candace Owens, who, by the way, real fast, you mentioned the black females or partially black females or whatever that Charlie Kirk supposedly was racist about. But really what he was saying is they're not qualified to do their job. It's my son who introduced me to Charlie Kirk. He doesn't exactly live the lifestyle that I want my kid to live. My kid's a believer. He's just kind of, he's navigating.
Living in the world.
Yep. And so, but
people do that.
I didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk or Candace Owens, but both of my kids went to Grand Canyon University, Christian University in Arizona, and Charlie Kirk would come to that campus. And so it's my son who turned me on to Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. He's like, I listen to him, I love him. And he's got to meet him at one of the events. So I didn't know anything about him, but you know what, actually, the only thing I did know about him is that he handed the microphone over to his opposition, and I found that so amazing. He literally said, prove me wrong, and let people say what they had to say, right? That's pretty amazing because he was so smart he could articulate objectivity and truth, and you just can't win an argument against truth. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I want to share real fast, going back to the three females. My son showed me a clip recently after all of this. We were just visiting him, and he said, have you seen this clip from Candace Owens after that came out, where he was supposedly racist against black females? And there's this white guy. It's always like the white Karens and white guys who think everybody's racist, but they're the white weird people. So there's this nerdy white guy. He's like 30 or so, and you have to Google the clip yourself. It's somewhere out there. And he's holding a sign that says, Charlie Kirk is a racist against black females or hates black females or something. It's this nerdy white guy holding the sign. And Candace Owens, the black female, who Charlie Kirk is like best friends with at the time or whatever, is sitting Indian style in front of it while Charlie Kirk is filming her laughing. And she's like, Charlie, is this true? It's a funny clip. You got to watch it. And it just shows how ignorant people are because they don't do what you did, Alan. They don't say, ooh, this sounds crazy. Let me look into it. And then let the facts reveal themselves.
And the other thing about that, when I read it, I was like, ooh, yeah, that makes sense. I would never say it, but that's because I would be scared to say it because I would get the backlash from people I know. But I feel like it's 100% right.
It's totally true. The DEI thing is totally true. It's ridiculous. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's why Seth's on the show. DEI.
Yeah.
I
just hear it's like,
you have to have at least one young, good-looking fella. I paid you a compliment.
Token Jewish
Thank
guy.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not Jewish.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know I was Jewish. These are all the things that I'm learning about myself right now.
Now you're going to sound like a racist. Seth, what do you have? That's all I want
Yeah.
to share. Once I looked into him because of my kid, I'm like, wow, this guy really is a guy of integrity, and he's very intelligent. Like, I wouldn't want to argue with him because he knows the facts. You know?
And he didn't even go to college.
Yeah.
Neither did I, but he's much smarter than me. I don't like to read.
Yeah. No, I didn't really like you guys. I didn't really follow him. I don't necessarily see the value of like open air, like, you know, argumentation and stuff. I don't think that that's always the most helpful thing to do. And so that's some of the things that I was like, yeah, well, you know, he could be right, but I just was like, I don't necessarily like that. The way that those arguments sometimes can play out with people, because I think that, you know, and whoever is arguing with someone, I mean, certainly they're taking a risk themselves to come forward and to be, to share some of their beliefs. No, it's okay, but so all that to say is I don't necessarily think that that might be the most helpful way to engage in conversation, but I don't necessarily think it's wrong. I just didn't necessarily agree with those kinds of scenarios.
Okay.
Because I have a friend who's an open air preacher, and he goes and, you know, and shares the gospel, and just, you know, in Michigan where I'm from, and I joined him a few times, and I was like, yeah, I can see the value of it. I don't know if it's the most helpful way to evangelize to someone, but they certainly can't say they didn't hear someone preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
But in the environment where he was doing it, I mean, people are not always the most receptive to those, because relationships and.
See, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
He changed the narrative though from when he started, from what I looked up.
Yeah.
A lot of people came because they hated him.
Yeah.
All these campuses, they came because they hated him. And then as the years went on, the more people loved him. Those are the people that came, and he had arguments. And I don't think it was more of a religious thing. I think he preached the gospel, but he came as a political, to get rid of the far left, woke ideology that is inundating our society right now. That's crazy. It's crazy. The things that they believe in is crazy. And I agree 100%. I'm not... I think maybe we should be more political, because it's going down the world was changing into something that I would have never thought, where we can abort babies at 8 months, even abortion in itself. But they're talking about aborting babies. They're talking about transgenders who, that's a mental illness. I don't care if you're gay or whatever, but I definitely think transgender is a mental illness. That doesn't mean I dislike you. That doesn't mean I hate you.
Right.
But I think, and it helped get a Republican in office, whether you like Trump or not, the views that he have for this country, I agree with 100%. The things he says sometimes, maybe not. Maybe he can do things differently.
Right. Yeah. You can say things differently. Like, are they qualified to be here? You can say, are they qualified? Basis just saying they don't have the brain capacity to do something. Maybe you'll say it a little differently.
They're going to say stupid things. He says dumb things. He's always said that. But I agree 100% what he's doing in this country. And then when I hear they calling me, because I voted for him, a Hitler, because a Nazi. I'm like, I'm not far from a Nazi.
Right.
Yeah. All my friends are all different colors and races and even religions.
Yeah.
And you can tell me you're whatever, and I will go, oh, I don't agree with it, but I don't dislike you.
Yeah.
But because of what we vote for, what we stand for as conservative Christians who love our country, we're either considered racist or Nazis or fascist. I don't even know what fascist is. I'm like, I'm just voting for my country. I want my country to do well. I want Jesus Christ to be the front and center. I want one nation under God.
Yeah.
That's it. If you are a furry, if you are a trans, more power to you. I think you need help. If you're gay, I don't care. I love you just the same. If you're welcome in my home, if you're a good person. Mm-hmm. But the other side thinks because of what we voted for, we're evil. And that's something that needs to change. That's why he was assassinated. Yeah. Because they thought he was evil when he was not. He spoke the truth. And I looked into it, and I fully agree. And if you don't like our podcast, what we're saying, you don't have to listen.
That's what's interesting. I want to go back to what you said, Seth, so it's funny because like you kind of, it's like us, didn't know a lot about him, but you saw that he sort of did, you sort of brought up confrontational evangelism is what I would call that, where the people go on the street, you're going to hell if you don't believe in Jesus, and they're yelling at people. Yeah. I never heard what you just said though, where, well, you can't say they didn't hear the gospel, right?
Yeah.
Like, they are accountable now. They did hear if they shared the gospel, if they were just being an idiot. Because I've never fully agreed with confrontational evangelism. Yeah. That, because especially working the strip, you remember that as cops, you'd see these people and they'd have these giant pictures of aborted babies and all fags go to hell and all these signs. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, no person in their right mind sees you and says, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
They seem great. Right.
No one sees that and says like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was going to do that. Yeah.
Right. But the flip side is I actually would disagree, I think, maybe a little on your first statement about Charlie Kirk, because when it was my son, like I said, when he first introduced me to him, and it's been, I don't know, 5 years or so when he showed him to me and said, here's what's pretty cool about him is he literally lets whoever these like literally, and you can tell by the way, half the clips are like, these people are just nuts that he has come up, right? Again, I'm not bashing a transgender person for having a transgender issue, but the ones that come up and are just straight mad and crazy and psycho and won't even hear you. But I did appreciate that he literally, and maybe it accomplished something, maybe it didn't. Yeah. But I think it is very foundational to our nation, actually, and who we are as a country. You've heard that at the services, that what he was doing was exactly what our country was founded on, which is public debate. And so I actually wholeheartedly agreed with how he did it, which is showing up, and it sucks. You see people chucking stuff at him and pouring things on him and all this, ultimately killing him. And it's like, what are you doing? Because, dude, if you disagree with him, he's actually giving you the opportunity to voice your opinion. He didn't cut people off. He gave him a microphone and then articulated his opinion and why. And he frustrated the crap out of him because he was very good at it, right? Yeah. But, dude, facts are facts. Look into it. Be intelligent. You're supposed to be intelligent. And so I actually loved it. That was my draw to him after my son showed me that, because I was like, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, he's pissing some people off, but that's pretty cool. You know?
But he also helped shape the election, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there are some things, some of the videos I watched, I was like, that's kind of funny, like what's happening, what people are saying, and how they're like, how they're not listening to what he's saying, and so I agree with you that like it wasn't not helpful, or like there are certain people who are really good at that. Like my friend, like being a street preacher, and I think he does well with it. It's not something that I want to engage in. I don't, because my view of evangelism is relational, evangelism, and I think the same way. Yeah, it's if I'm going to have a relationship with someone, that's how I share with them my views of Scripture and my view of life. And so that's kind of where I was. I was like, yeah, like I see the value of it. I just don't necessarily agree with it, because I don't resonate with it.
And sometimes you look at it and you will say, like, is this accomplishing anything? In the moment it doesn't seem like it, but as it turns out, in the collective or in the totality, suddenly it really shows, even all of those times have had massive impact, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I get what you're saying. When people refuse to listen to the facts and they only want to, we do this to each other, right? Talking does this, where you think what I'm going to say next, and you want to make sure you get what you have to say out, but you may not pay attention to the other person's point of view, which is relatively normal. Most of those crazy people had zero interest in any facts, even if they were factual of his point of view, which they typically very much were. Yeah. But they just wanted to get what they had to say out because they're angry and they don't care. You're not going to convince crazy, is what I've always said. I've told my wife that for years too. You just can't convince crazy. It's hard.
Yeah. And then afterwards, the social media where people were laughing and saying he got what he deserved, the depravity that I'm talking about. Yeah. And then Jimmy Kimmel gets fired for being a jackass on air. I'm like, nobody cares about what you got to say, Jimmy Kimmel. And then you get fired and they're talking about free speech. You can speak whatever you want. You're not going to jail, but you don't have the right to do that because you get fired. Start a podcast, say what you want. Yeah. So you can't do that on ABC and
like a network. If someone has standards, they have standards and they're in it for profit. By the way,
then you look at the mainstream media and they're like, "Oh, free speech. This is authoritarian. This and that." I'm like, no. Everybody gets fired. Tucker Carlson got fired. Megyn Kelly got fired.
Yeah, right.
All these people.
Our friend Heidi Harris got fired. We had her on the show, and she was fired from a major network based. And by the way, 2 conservative opinions, but just got fired. Yeah. And then,
but you can start your own podcast. Nobody's going to fire you. You might not have a lot of followers like us, but we got a couple hundred that'll follow us. Well, maybe almost 1,000 now as far as. Yeah. But they can't fire me. They can just not listen.
Yeah, just don't listen. That's fine.
And just like ABC, I don't care if they fire Jimmy Kimmel or not. I love it because I can't stand them. But
right.
I never watch them, so I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's money. By the way, isn't that funny?
But that's all they talk about.
They come out and say it's totalitarianism, it's fascism. No, it's money, guys. I hate to tell you. It's money. It's capitalism. Yeah. Yep. And I'm not against capitalism. You see both sides get fired, you know?
He was in the rural communities and the affiliates said, we're not going to put him on because our people do not want to see him. Yeah. And they're like, well, we're losing money, so we can't have you on.
Yep.
Right. And that's all the mainstream media talked about after Jimmy Kimmel. They forgot about Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated, shot in the neck in front of his wife and kids. And it's not a big deal to them, but they fight for Jimmy Kimmel. Who gives a crap?
I know.
Jimmy Kimmel will go just like Don Lemon will go and start a podcast and look like a fool. He can go on and look like a fool. They can all look like fools, and the people that like him will follow him, and the people who don't won't. And I won't.
Okay, so
Wait, can you think we get Jimmy Kimmel to follow our podcast? I'm gonna send it out. Maybe we
hashtag
get
him and talk to him.
Yeah.
You know what though? If he would have just a normal opinion, and you could actually just have the conversation, but
He
part of
won't do that.
part of his shtick, part of his making money is to, of course, just lean into whatever those beliefs are because that's what pays the bills, right? I mean, I don't know. Is it real opinion? Is it truth? Is it for a purpose, or is it ultimately just for money? It's probably ultimately just for money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Funny thing, I used to
what you
like
see.
Jimmy
Yeah.
when he first started.
Yeah. I know. I've heard.
The Man Show.
Yeah.
no, I like
Yeah,
the man show.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him. I thought that was funny.
When he first started his late night was after the Super Bowl one, and he would drink beer on set and get drunk. He would get drunk,
Yeah.
and it became pretty funny. I mean, and the network was like, "Nope, can't do that," because I think he got hammered a few times.
Well, what's
Yeah.
funny is, like I used to love David Letterman.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a liberal guy, and even when he got political, sometimes he sort of did there. I don't know, toward the end of his career. To be honest with you, I still found him funny. I still liked him. I don't hate him for it. I don't. That's what's weird to me. To go back to your point, you'll have these. Well, look, Charlie Kirk's funeral, where they pointed out it was his own wife, Eric, who, by the way, did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance was very impressive, but because they spoke about Christ, they spoke about truth, and that's what matters. But I do love that they both pointed out, if you'll notice, there was no like rioting, no fires, and people are going to argue why one side or the other. I'm not even here for that. What I just love though is ultimately we're all here in the same country. We're all here in the same boat. We're all actually trying to kind of live our best life for our own families and stuff. And so we should be able to just have conversations. I should be able to disagree with you over something. For instance, David Letterman, to go back to that, I disagreed with his politics. There are many actors who I disagree with their politics. And because if they become extreme activists, I'll quit following them. But I don't hate them. I would rather just pray for them. But you've pointed this out several times, Alan. The difference is, though, you say something and vote a certain way, and you're called a Nazi, or you're absolutely hated. You're called evil. And it's like, dude, if you have an opinion, I'm glad you have an opinion. I was on the street night after night defending your freaking opinion. You know what I mean? I literally stood, especially us working the strip. I stood and protected protesters
Who I did not agree with.
I did not agree with. Like, personally, I wanted to slap them in the face so bad. But I actually would stand in between them and a group of people who wanted to cause them harm. And I would literally take a bullet or take a bat or a bottle, which I'd taken bottle to the head before on stuff like that, for a person who I hate. If I'm honest with you, I like how Donald Trump kind of said it. Like, I hate him. But whose opinion I hate. I don't know them personally. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I hate the.
But
what they stand
that seems to be the difference.
But
That
that's the thing,
seems to
you
be
can
the
hate with somebody. I have friends that voted for Biden, that voted for Kamala Harris. I don't care. And if she would have won, I'm like, all right, more
I
people
mean, I
voted.
do care. It makes me sad, but
No, I don't care because you're my friend. You,
Yeah, that
you
part.
didn't, in my opinion, didn't research it enough. You just didn't like Donald Trump. And I think once Donald Trump's out of office, we'll get back to a more normal election cycle, maybe. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope and pray.
That's the
We
hope,
pray.
yeah.
Because if you're a Democrat, you need to have somebody more moderate. You can't have these AOCs and Jasmin Crockett's. The one person who I like is Bill Maher, as far as late night, who I don't agree with, and he says some dumb stuff, but he makes me laugh. And John Fetterman, who is a Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, who had a stroke and should be out of his mind, but makes more sense than because he does. I saw him on Joe Rogan. And I'm like, man, he looks a little off, but he made sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a little political. Anything else? Because we got to wrap this one up.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I would say is that, when we have disagreements, which we do, everyone has disagreements, but the way that you disagree with someone, the way that you desire different things is important. That's what James talks about in James 4. It says you have all these conflicts with people because you want and desire things that they have or that they don't have, and you scheme against them, and you kill them, and you war against them, and I think he's saying our hearts, the way that our hearts are responding to things that happen like this are sometimes unhelpful. And so if for us, I think many of us should take a break from social media and just say, I don't want these voices to be infiltrating my mind and my heart to make me more angry and more frustrated about the world. What I should be doing is making sure that I'm seeking Jesus and I'm seeking the truth of the gospel, because at the end of the day, regardless of where I'm at politically, I need to make sure that I'm in relationship with Jesus, because ultimately he's who we're going to answer to We're not going to answer to the Democrats or the Republicans. We're going to answer to what Jesus has laid out for us. And so that's my challenge is just make sure that you're not aligning yourself fully with what someone thinks so that you are lifted up by them, but that you're humbling yourself before Christ so that you'll be lifted up by him, instead of being opposed by him because you're so proud of where you're at in your beliefs. So that's my thought.
And my thought on that is that you're 100% wrong. No, I'm just kidding. You're right. No, I agree with you on that. But I will tell you this, that I was not so much political until I saw what happened to Charlie Kirk. And now I think we really need to preach the gospel more so in this world. I don't care how many people we can reach, because there's too much evil and there's too much far left thinking that is not biblical. I'm not saying there's not biblical thinking in that the left side of the politics.
Right.
I'm sure there is, but they're not voicing their opinion because I think they're being held down. I'm sure there's Democrats who are believe in Jesus Christ and believe in the gospel, but I don't see it, and they don't say it. And they need to step up.
Yeah.
If they don't, we need to step up and preach it more. So now I really want to be more involved in that political side. I really do. I wasn't, but now I am.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah, and I think the important thing. Yeah.
Whoever thinks the assassin stopped something, I think he just motivated more people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that we need to make sure that we're condemning evil, that we're condemning the things that are against Christ, but we're also uplifting the things that are for Christ, especially within our community, right? Our neighborhoods, we're all in our bubble of what am I watching on TV? What am I seeing on my phone? And we're all in our house, but our neighbors next door to us are doing the same exact thing. And what can we do to practically, help the gospel be advanced in our society? Is knock on our neighbors' doors, invite them to dinner at your house, make sure that you're opening your space for them. You invite yourself over to their house, but I think that's one. That's where you got lots of stuff going on here. You guys got so much stuff going on, but that's what I think is a practical way to do that is to look at your neighbors in the face and say, how you doing? Instead of letting the media monster fill their minds, let them see someone in, like, I think of several we had the Admiral, I can't remember his name right now.
Colonel Dave Grossman.
Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. He talked about how do you get people to want, to have be more pro gun. It's like, we invite them to shoot with you, because they shoot with someone who's really nice, and they're like, well, and I do it too, and that must mean that people can be kind and good with
responsible.
And responsible.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we should get into gun things next, because that's another opinion I got.
Right. And that's what I think a lot of people want to legislate the human heart, but we're seeing the human heart cannot be legislated.
Sure.
Evil becomes, whatever we focus on becomes what our heart's desires are.
So it comes right back to Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, who controls history, who is sovereign over all things, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. There is no person in power or politics that Jesus did not allow to or put in that place in his sovereignty, and allow human hearts and our own free will to kind of navigate this and make those decisions for or against Christ, for or against truth.
Yeah.
And this is what we consistently see is a fallout of evil in this world, yet God still knows what he's doing, and God is not surprised by any of this, and he has his plans, his purposes for all of these things. So the best thing is to say that Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. I follow Jesus, and I don't mean to say it doesn't matter, because it does, because does your political side most line up with biblical truth and what Christ would have for families and nations? I guess that's the best way to put it, I think. Yeah. But you follow Christ first, to go right back to what you said kind of in your closer. Follow Christ first, man, and then go from there. Educate yourself, to be objective and actually look up facts. Right.
Yeah. Don't let a soundbite.
Don't let ours, dude.
You. Yeah.
I have said this. I've said this from the pulpit as a pastor. The noble-minded Bereans. You guys, pay attention to what I'm trying to teach and share, because I don't know anything as I ought to know it. I'm doing the best I can to share on my journey as I follow. And yes, I take seminary courses and do all these things. But ultimately, you as an individual need to actually look into this. If I'm giving you passages, read the passages, read the entire content of it, understand everything about it. If you know what I mean? You're allowed to use your own intellect. You're an intellectually created being. Use your intellect to follow Christ. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. That's it.
I like your shirt, dude.
Yeah. Follow us, share, like, subscribe, please share it.
or
Yep.
don't. You don't have
No, share it. Especially
Or
if you
do it,
agree with
yeah.
what we have to say. Share it, share it, share it.
Use your intellect in your own decisions. Be blessed.
Exactly, yeah.
No, believe what we tell you.
Eric